All right, this is page 106. This was a homework assignment. I'm going over the answers rather. All right, so you're given h of x equals f of x times g of x. This is asking for h of 4, so that means I am finding f of 4 times g of 4. And we have a table here. F of 4 is 2, and g of 4 is -1. So the answer is -2. That's it. It's asking for h prime of x. This is a product, so I'm going to write it up here. H of x equals f of x times g of x. So I have to use the product rule. Product rule says take the derivative, or keep the first constant, take the derivative of the second, plus switch the roles, so it's going to be f prime of x, g of x. So these are being added together. I just couldn't fit the space here. All right, and then h prime of 4 means you're doing f of 4 times g prime of 4. Right, all I'm doing is writing this out by filling in the 4's though for x, plus f prime of 4 times g of 4. So f of 4 is 2, g prime of 4 is 3, f prime of 4 is -2, g of 4 is -1. So that's 6 plus 2 makes 8. That's it. Then it says write the equation of the tangent line at h of x at x equals 4. Remember at x equals 4, h of 4 is -2, so that's the point, 4, -2. And the equation of is y minus the y1, so that's plus 2, equals, now I need the slope. And remember at h prime of 4, the slope was 8, or the value was 8, so that's the slope. And then x minus the x value, which is 4. All right, that's it. And let's do 5 through 8. So first find g pi over 2. So I'm going to plug in the pi over 2 into that. So it's 2 times pi over 2 over sine of pi over 2. So that's pi over 1. So just pi. G prime of x, you have to use the quotient rule because that's a quotient. So quotient rule says bring up the denominator times the derivative of the numerator. Derivative of 2x is 2, minus derivative of the denominator, derivative of sine x is cosine x, times the numerator, which is 2x, all over the denominator squared. Okay, so that's the derivative. We're going to plug in the derivative. Plug in pi over 2 into that. So I'm going to put the 2 in the front. Right, just move the 2 in the front. And it's sine of pi over 2 minus, put the 2x in the front. So it's 2 times pi over 2 and cosine of pi over 2 all over sine of pi over 2 squared. So remember, if it's a square there, it's the same as squaring it like that. Okay? All right, moving on. So what is the sine of pi over 2? Sine of pi over 2 is 1, so it's 2 times 1, which is 2. And cosine of pi over 2 is 0, so that wipes out that term, so it's minus 0. And sine of pi over 2 is 1, so 1 squared is 1, so that simplifies to 2. Number 8 says what is the equation of the tangent line? So you're just going to do, so I'm putting the answer here, y minus the y value is pi, equals the slope, which is 2, times x minus the x value, pi over 2. And that's it. If you clean that up, that one actually cleans up nicely, but that's an adequate answer. We did not do we didn't do number 9. There's several parts to it. It is Thursday night's homework. All right. We're going to do the other page was homework, which was 1 through 7. Right, 1 through 7. So this one is very similar to the other one. We're doing quotient rule here. All right. So it says find p prime of u. So we're given r p of u, so quotient rule. So it's s of u times the derivative of the numerator, r of u, minus, switch the roles, s prime of u, r of u, over s of u squared. All right, that's to the second power there. All right, now let's find the derivative at -1. So we're plugging -1 into that. So we're doing s of -1 r prime of negative 1. And I shouldn't have written it there because I'm running out of space. Negative 1. Golly, why so much? Over s of negative 1 squared. That would be s of negative 1 is negative 1. R prime of negative 1, r prime of negative 1 is 4. Minus s prime of negative 1 is negative 3. R of negative 1 is 2 over s of negative 1 is squared. So that's going to be 4 plus 6 over 1, so that's 10. Okay, it's asking for p prime of 0. So plug 0 into that expression, right? We just did that a second ago. So it's s of 0 times r prime of 0 minus s prime of 0, r of 0, over s of 0 squared. So that's going to be, remember this is p prime of 0. So s of 0 is 3. R prime of 0 is 7. S prime of 0 is negative 2. R of 0 is negative 3. And S of 0 is 3. So it's 3 squared. So that's going to be 21 minus 6 over 9, which is 15 over 9, or 5/3. So that's it. That was number 3. All right. Number 4 says, given that Q of U is all that, and Q prime of 3 is 4, write the equation of a tangent line to QU if U equals 3. So we're looking at y minus the y value which I don't have the y value. So that means I'm going to plug 3 into that. So it's r of s of 3. Well, s sub 3 is negative 1. So I plug negative 1 into r. So it's r of negative 1. R of negative 1 is 2. So the y value is 2. So y minus 2 equals, right, r of negative 1 was 2. That's why I got y minus 2 here, right? Because I plugged in negative 1 into that expression, and that gave me q of not negative 1. I plugged 3 into that expression and got q of 3, which turns out to be 2. All right, so y value is 2. So y minus 2 equals, and then I want the slope. There's the slope right there, q prime of 3, times x minus the x value, which is 3. That's it. Okay? I know that was confusing. Sorry about that. Hopefully you understood. Here, let's find the derivative. This is product rule. So it's x squared, derivative cosine is negative sine, plus the derivative of x squared, which is 2x times cosine x. And that's that. Number 6 wants you to plug pi over 2 in. So it's pi over 2 squared times negative sine of pi over 2 plus 2 times pi over 2 times the cosine of pi over 2. Okay. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0, so that gets wiped. Sine of pi over 2 is 1, so it's negative 1, so it's equal to negative pi squared over 4. All right, square that, then apply the negative sign. All right, and then here, write the equation of the tangent line to f of x at x equals pi over 2. So that means I need to figure out what value this has at pi over 2. So I'm finding f of pi over 2 to find the y value. So it's pi over 2 squared times cosine of pi over 2. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0, so the y value is 0. So it's y minus 0, which I'm not going to write. The slope was negative pi squared over 4, and x minus pi over 2. And that doesn't clean up well, so I'm going to leave it there. And that was the homework assignment. Okay, that's it.